worries. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the final event of the InCube Challenge 2020. My name is Justina, and I'm the VP of InCube at the ETH Entrepreneur Club. And it is truly amazing to see all of you join us here today at Kraftwerk, even in these special circumstances. At this point, I want to quickly remind everyone to adhere to the general rules of hygiene, keep your distance when possible, and that masks are mandatory throughout the entire event and can only be taken off for drinking and for eating. Now, this being said, it is also my pleasure and my honor to be joined on stage by Linus, the president of the club, as well as Damien, a member of the organizing team and also your moderator for tonight.
Thank you very much, Justina. I would love to tell you something more about the ETH Entrepreneur Club in general. Our club is a student-run, non-profit institution empowering the next generation of entrepreneurs. Since our foundation in 2011, we were able to gather a great community of 19,000 social media followers supporting our 35 committee members, which are, by the way, some of the best there are, in achieving 3 key goals. We want to inspire young students to explore the entrepreneurial world. We want to educate them on how to achieve their goals in founding a startup. And third off, we want to accelerate their ideas to be a successful startup. So how do we achieve those goals? We organize up to 40 events and workshops every semester, like the Fuck Up Night series and the Startup Speed Dating. But we also have our own co-working space, the Rocket Hub, with 25 promising startups. But now let's focus on the real reason why we're here tonight. Because we're here to witness the great final of the InCube Challenge 2020 Alpine edition. Woo.
Thank you, Linus. So, Justina, I've got some friends here, my family's here too, and they've been annoying me with the same question over and over and again. And it is, how does the InCube journey look like?
Well, Damien, it's actually quite simple. The entire journey was kicked off with the starter cube, which on one hand consisted of a digital welcome sent to all the 20 participants standing over here, as well as a physical starter cube waiting for them upon arrival in Crans-Montana. But before OutCube even started, each participant went through PrepCube, an educational journey which allowed them to learn all the necessary things for their journey ahead of them. Then we arrived at OutCube. 4 days of workshops to allow them to learn more about design thinking, pitching, and much more. It allows them to build strong teams and get to know each other much better. And then probably the most anticipated part of the entire journey, InCube itself. 5 days of intense work during which the final teams worked on trying to find a solution to 4 pressing societal challenges. And here we are tonight, waiting to hear their pitches and see what they came up with.
Wow. And what's the goal of this whole thing?
Well, you see, the world faces a lot of complex challenges that heavily impact the society, the planet. And InCube aims to foster this analytical mindset and provide them with the right tools and environment to tackle these challenges by driving innovative solutions. And we also help the participants evolve their abstract ideas into prototypes that can then further be evolved into a viable business. And also by being visible to the general public, we also create this very unique space to get inspired, and we make innovation accessible to everyone.
Right, I love that. So if you've been following us, dear audience, you know that normally this all happens in a cube, right? But you saw that on the video that it was in the mountains. So Justina, what the heck happened there?
Well, since most of us have been confined indoors for the past few months, the team decided to think outside of the cube. And we decided to replace the customary glass cubes with Alpine huts and the urban cityscapes with remote mountain retreats. And this way, we combined the best of entrepreneurial thinking and innovation with the beauty of the Swiss Alps.
Perfect. Final questions, Justina. What's your understanding of entrepreneurship and how does it apply to InCube?
That's a really good question, Damien. I have a feeling that a lot of the times when we think of entrepreneurship, the first thing that comes to mind is business, right? Well, I truly believe that entrepreneurship is about creation. Entrepreneurship is about change. Entrepreneurship is about so much more than just business, right? And I truly believe that entrepreneurs are passionate. Entrepreneurs are hardworking. They're also empathetic and humble. And you ask me, how does that apply to InCube, right? Well, I also truly believe that the 20 extraordinary individuals that you're just about to meet all share these characteristics and personality traits. So see for yourself.
I love that. Ladies and gentlemen, our lovely VP, Justina Obreniak. So now that I have all of your attention, let me quickly introduce you to our juries who will have the immense task to decide the 2020 InCube winner. We have Mrs. Barbara Rubel, Managing Partner of Brand Essence AG, Marketing Expert at Kickscart, and Member of the Advisor Board at EC. We have Mr. Jean-Pierre Villemieux. Oh, pardon me. We have Mrs. Christina Klassen, Startup and Business Advisor at Christina Klassen GmbH and Mentor to the EC. Then we have Mr. Jean-Pierre Villemieux, MD of Startup Invest. And finally, the man who once owned only 64 objects, Mr. Cedric Waldburger. So a really important person for the teams was the facilitator. And what he basically did is live in a hut during the whole week with the team. They had 2 tasks, to keep them on track, but also keep them mentally sane. Our first facilitator is Grace Lukaku of Team Matterhorn. Please stand up and give her a huge applause. Tom Vinandi of Team Castor. Ralf Horvath from Team Duferspitze. And finally, Nasib from Alphubel. Woo! So, the pitches are going to last 5 minutes. 30 seconds before the pitch ends, you will hear this sound. Thank you. And then, after those 5 minutes are over, you will hear the same sound again. After which, we'll go straight over to the Q&A. So, now, I want to introduce you to Team Matterhorn. We live a really luxurious life here in Switzerland. But this luxury comes with a price, and we don't see the consequences of our acts. The challenge, thus, was to strengthen the economy and to alleviate poverty in developing countries, while spurring resilience to climate change. With no further ado, please welcome the team tackling challenges from Matterhorn to Madagascar, and who love to move it, move it. Oh, pardon me. Pardon me? You have I forgot to introduce the participants, right? I mean, happens sometimes. We have Rishab here, who has really nice dancing moves. We have Alyssa, Lucia, Laura, and Aria. So, the stage is yours. Microphone is there.
That's... This was the sound of destruction, devastating or terrifying really for millions of peoples around the world. The widely affected group of farmers in developing countries are really affected by these floods and face damaging consequences. One of the global problems is the destruction of crops. When these crops are destroyed, farmers can no longer provide for themselves and can no longer provide for their families. And as this is the main source of their income and food supply, we need to do something about this. The tackling problem that we will be handling is how to help these farmers keep their crops safe.
The solution that we found in this problem is floating crop fields. Floating crop fields, our innovation, was made out of two components. First, the base itself on which the crops are grown, and second, a tank inside that filters the flood water and then enables the farmer to use the water for further approaches. But how does it look like? Let's have a look at the prototype. Here you can see one of the fields that we were thinking of. How does it work, you might think? So the flood water arrives and simply goes underneath the field is uplifted, and the crops that are grown on top are kept safe. Safe from the floodwater, safe for the farmers. This brings us to the benefits. First benefit, I already mentioned that. Second one, as there's the tank included inside, the farmer can then use the water for further usage. Third, the crop yield is 10 times higher. And fourth, it reduces greenhouse gases by 50%. So how can we bring that to market?
Exactly. So what we noticed was that for the farmers, it is very important to have a build of trust between who is trying to implement their new method or strategy. As we cannot do this directly, we've decided to partner up with local NGOs and farmer communities who we are also in contact with already, and show them how to use our crop fields and how they can then further teach the farmers to implement them and sustain them and maintain them, most importantly. Our plan follows as so. Our company, Hovercrop, will rent tanks out for 30 francs a year, and once rented and taught to the local NGOs how to use them, the local NGOs and farmer communities will further help the farmers directly by training and setting these up. But let's have a look at the roadmap and the milestones that we're actually planning to take. As of 2021, we plan to have a research and development phase completed and ready for the crops to be in use. By 2022, we'd like to have a piloting phase during which 100 farmers will be able to test these crops, and then from which we can further adapt them and develop them for better usage. In 2023, we'll enter a market penetration phase in Madagascar, and we expect an outlook of 480 million profit within the first year. Once we can see that our crops are successful and work for these farmers, in 2026, we'll introduce sensors to really innovate and develop our product further. What these sensors do is that they not only gather data, but they will also grow the yield of the crops, improving substantially the amount of crops that can be harvested. And in 2027, we're going to expand to other tropical regions around the world which face the same exact problem.
Now let's have a quick look on the investment side. As we're working with already approved methods, we only need an investment of 300,000 Swiss francs. This is due to the research and development that's already approved by Bangladeshi communities, and the education will, as explained before, be one of the parts of the NGOs that we're going to cooperate with. So 300,000 Swiss francs for an amazing team that's made out of marketing experts, strategies, and technical innovation ideas. Let's make the future great again, protect livelihoods in the face of climate change. Thank you.
Yes?
I do have a question in terms of the technology.
No, it's perfect.
Because when the crop fields are maintained by the farmers, you have like cycles where you have to replace. You can't do like rice for 5 years or whatever. Did you put some thoughts in it? What is the frequency? Like, do you have to replace the entire field in 2 years, in 4 years? What are the costs you have to invest?
Okay, so for the online streaming, the question was whether the replacement and how it would work and the cost that we would need to invest for this.
I know you had only 96 hours just to be fair.
Yeah.
This is why I said if you put some thoughts in it. Yes.
We have followed this model from Bangladesh, and there the people who are actually making this floating crop fields have been doing this by biodegradable materials which are already available in the local areas, although they used to replace them in every month or so, but the replacement cost is more or less negligible.
How did you choose Madagascar and the other place that you
So we looked a bit into which floods or how often.
The question.
Oh, right.
The question was why we chose Madagascar. Sorry.
Yes. So the reason for which we chose Madagascar was because we wanted to look which countries were recently flooded. Madagascar had a flood in 2020 in January, and we further found out that it's one of the poorest countries in the world. So it's actually the 6th country with most problems for hunger and famine, and this is because of the floods. So we wanted to really face our challenge fully. So climate change was the reason for it. Poverty is the consequence of the climate change. And yeah, this was just very relevant for our topic, and Madagascar was a country that we wanted to focus on. Yes?
You know, you talk about poverty and then you propose sales of 480 million. Now it sounds like great business.
Yes.
So how many tanks are you going to need to make these sales?
Okay, so the question was how many tanks we're going to need to make these sales?
So basically what we planned to do was that based on the average average farm size of every farmer in Madagascar, it was about 1 hectare. And then we planted, and then when we designed it, we said that every farm can have up to 100 of these floating gardens, or fields, you can say. And then in every one of these fields, we have these tanks. And afterwards, we planted like how many farms exist in this area that we can notify them or target them as the potential farms. And then we came to the number that by every tank, we can have 6 francs in a year. And then like in every farm, it will be 600 francs. And then in total, when we multiply by the number of farms which are affected by the flood, we came to this number, which is 14.
Okay, I understand this calculation somehow.
Yep.
So I never heard of flooding in Madagascar myself.
Mm-hmm.
So when you start to make assumptions about, that many farms in Madagascar, is Madagascar flooded all the time, or why are you taking all the farms in Madagascar? I mean, where Madagascar?
So actually, the question again was that why we are considering all farms in Madagascar, and actually we are not considering all farms in Madagascar. So also to maybe frame the number of how much profit we want to make, this is not in the first year. This is the expected revenue by full market penetration within Madagascar. Which is going to take us more than 2 years, but it's always good to have big aspirations. So the numbers we worked with are only the farms in the lower lands. That is only about 33% of the farms in Madagascar. The highlands are not flooded, of course. However, our solution also has some applicability there in the sense that it does increase the yield. As our solution lays on the ground while it's not flooded, it would also increase the yield in dry areas theoretically. However, we are of course targeting mainly the areas that will be flooded because there we can have the largest impact in saving crops. So what we are assuming is that we would have 800,000 lowland farms that we could each equip with 100 tank field solutions, which we would price at 30 francs with an operating cost of 24 francs for us as an organization.
Thank you.
Sorry, just one last quick question.
Yes.
How long do these tanks last? And how often do they have to be replaced?
So would you like to
Repeat the question.
So the question is how long these tanks last, and how long they have to be, how frequently they have to be replaced or maintained. So as it was previously mentioned, the tank has 2 components: the bed on which the crops grow, and the filter. So the bed, which is made of biodegradable materials like coconut husk, hyacinth plants, soil, humus. These materials are quite readily available in the local environment, as we have seen in the Bangladesh model. So their replacement is, although it's quite frequently, but the maintenance and the replacement quite is more or less negligible because of the availability. Yeah.
Excuse me, please. I have to cut you short because every team only has 5 minutes for the Q&A and we want to keep it fair. So thank you, Team Matterhorn. Huge applause for you. Please go. You can leave the stage. And they'll still be around afterwards if you want to ask follow-on questions. Thank you for your understanding. So, we all love our grandparents, right? They're lovely, their food is amazing, but in the end, they need to be taken care of. And we don't all have time for that, right? So, the challenge was to improve their quality of life by also upholding their autonomy. Huge challenge, very interesting. To tackle this, we have Matteo De Bardecci, we have Nicola Martino from EPFL, Anna Matti from St. Gallen, Meng Qian Fu from ETH, and finally, Ryan Armani also from ETH. Please welcome Anna Matti and Ryan Matt.
Let me introduce you to Richard. Richard is a typical 65 years old who has come to the point of retirement. Richard would love to keep working for his old boss, such as mentoring or freelancing. However, no solution exists in his company. This is why, the night of his retirement, Richard comes home, alone, slowly losing contact with all his former colleagues. After a few months, his new hobbies bores him, and he falls into great depression. This might seem like an isolated case, but idleness and isolation has severe consequences on the mental health of our elderly population. While 79% of the working force desire to work after their retirement age, only 30% manage it. Now, imagine a new story. Richard was able to stay in contact with his former company. He's an happier man, feeling valuable to our society. While at the same time, his company can gain a real increase in their productivity by leveraging the knowledge, know-how, and skills that Richard has acquired over a 40-year-long career. This is why we invented NetWise.
At NetWise, we are an HR service company, and we focus on capturing the knowledge of an aging workforce and trying to build an ecosystem where they can find fulfilling opportunities. For this, we designed a platform, a software as a service tool that will help people like Richard and their company build a profitable alumni network. So the solution looks pretty simple. Every employee will have a profile with their contact information, a collection of skills and areas of knowledge, and private company-specific areas in which they specialize in. So what does this do? This is essentially a searchable database that employees inside the company can use to tap into the knowledge of all the previous people who worked there. So say, for example, I'm a new sales manager and I try to onboard ABB as my next big client. Well, I don't have that much experience, but I can leverage that of Richard. So when I type in sales and ABB into NetWise, the search engine will recommend Richard. I can contact Richard and onboard him as a consultant. What this does for the company is it enables knowledge retention, both on the technical side, with experts in engineering, etc., and on the human side, with all the networks that they have. And it has a direct benefit on productivity and sales. But for seniors like Richard, it's an opportunity to stay involved with their professional network and earn a little bit of additional income. So with NetWise, we're trying to create a culture in which seniors like Richard are valued and respected. So our main competitors would be networking platforms like LinkedIn or knowledge management platform like Atlassian, for example. But none of them really bridge the link between to harness the human knowledge that is available in experts. So in order to make this possible, we're targeting a very specific pool of early adopters, which are senior employees aged between 50 and 65 years old in technical companies in Switzerland with more than 250 employees. We are very specific with this first need because we want to refine our product. So in the first 6 months, we see ourselves building our platform and piloting our software with this small pool of companies. These small pool of companies, however, will allow us to earn a stable revenues to sustain ourselves based on a subscription model. So as we plan to expand to other types of companies and other places in Europe, we need to develop additional features that open up other streams of revenue, such as commission fees. And so these two key features would be enabling simplifying the contracting process between the former employer and the new senior freelancer. And as this is done, we can also open the platform to we can open our platform of experts to companies outside the network of our clients, like startups or consultancies that would really benefit from our pool of users. So our team here at NetWise, we really value the knowledge that our seniors have. But we're interested in solving this problem not only for them, but also for us, because in the end, we're the seniors of tomorrow.
I feel like in general it's a great idea, and I'm completely with you. We are the editors for tomorrow, and it's a very good cause to engage and to give people a purpose in life. At the same time, I have been in business now for a while, and I set up my business in your age, my first business. And what I see now is we have AI on one side, we have all the technology, innovation, digitalization, everything gets automated, and on the other side, we have now this suggestion of yours, and I'm wondering, have you did some market analysis? Is it really the need out there? Will we be willing to pay somebody who's 70 plus for some services when they can just go reach out to you and to ask for innovation and some fresh ideas?
So to repeat the question, if I understand correctly, sorry, it's for the live stream. Why would a company leverage a pool of senior expert instead of reaching out to younger innovators? Is that correct?
That they will reach out, it's not the question. The question is the market size. Is it the business out there? This is the question, the general question.
So the question is on the market size.
So yeah, definitely there is lots of automation and AI tool nowadays, but still all the knowledge, like 43% of the knowledge is kept by an individual, which will be anything, not something that we can find on the internet, and it's really individual specific. So this is really hard to find, and every employees we've seen from studies spend many hours per week looking for more new information or looking for connections. So based on those studies, we went for this type of marketplace.
What is your solution for non-knowledge workers? So there's lots of people that work in jobs that they might not be able physically to keep up doing after they turn a certain age.
So the question was, what is our solution for low-skilled workers, the not knowledge workers?
So for this type of workers, it will be also mostly based on mentoring and advising, and if they don't, and using also some, they could just be on the site or like in their home, just advising the people from their knowledge that they had on their career. So it's more mentoring and advising.
Have you checked if companies like Roche or Nestle, just to name two, are not doing that already?
So the question was, aren't large companies already doing this internally?
So yeah, we've looked at this, and so there are some companies that has what's called alumni network. So ABB has one, lots of consulting companies as their McKinsey have those alumni network, but the idea that we're bringing at the end, so one stage is like only 6% of those companies for like American US company has an alumni network. Like the other doesn't have this alumni network. So there's definitely a need for this.
Thank you.
How do you handle it when somebody is working with multiple companies? Most people are moving jobs every 2 to 5 years.
How do we handle it when people move jobs and change employers?
Okay, in that case, it's even better because they have more connections. And then, I mean, this is at the beginning, maybe it's only for one company, but the vision is to open it to more companies. So if you search for one skill or one company, then you are going to see that that person has the connections to many companies, and that is also good for everybody.
So what is your philosophy? Do we live to work or work to live?
Yeah, good question.
Do we live to work or work to live?
that's the cool thing about NetWise. It's actually you're free to choose what you want to do. So some people do just want to stop working, some others want to actually work. But what we found is nowadays in our society, the framework to actually work after retirement is not that much present. So still possibilities, but it's not very common. And many people actually like the idea of being say, active in professional life, but in a very flexible way, so that they choose how many hours they do, on what project they are working, if they keep working in the same domain. So we want to bring them this flexibility.
Right. I love that. Maybe I can hire a professor who's retired to write my master thesis, right? Huge applause for that team. You can go off stage. Nice job. So, I guess some of us are foodies, like to eat all the time or sometimes. And the question thus was, how can we leverage technology to conceptualize a more developed and sustainable food system? To do this, we had an amazing team with Christina, Valentin, Astrid, Arijit, and Andreas, also known as Andy. Very excited for Team Dufferspitze to pitch. Please welcome them.
Wait, you have to, do you know?
All right, now raise your hand if you like bananas. All right, so do you know that when we go to the supermarket, we pay 10 times more than farmers who get the value in developing countries for producing it? This just underlines how inefficient and unsustainable our current food supply chain is. But where do we even start to fix it? Let's start from the very beginning. Farmers. So when small farmers want to sell their food, they need to go through the whole complicated chain of middlemen. Think about storage, transport, quality check. It's overwhelming. On the other side, big farmers just get the prices negotiated through a direct contract. Easy. How do we fix it? Our solution is the decentralized food network to connect small farmers with the buyers. The smart algorithm calculates what's the best way to exchange between them. We take into account the distance, the quantity, quality, data pickup, and more. Data is aggregated, then gets anonymized, and we also use data from external sources like weather predictions. This is where the magic happens, because by empowering the small farmers in developing countries, we are creating the positive impact on the whole food ecosystem. We are doing it by 4 points. First of all, by empowering them to sell their food in any quantity, we can let them be flexible with what exactly they produce on the farm. They can diversify the food they grow. Diversification. Then, by making the transportation and logistics system efficient, we are reducing the CO2 emissions. Next, we are reducing the food waste. Every year, a huge amount of waste is literally dumped next to the farm on the field without getting any value out of it. We sell it. We can bring it to the food waste to energy facilities, making fertilizers out of it, or selling to feed the animals. And last but not least, we improve the food security of the region by empowering small farmers to grow more crops and not rely on monoculture. This improves not just food security, but self-sustainability of the region.
Let's talk numbers. In the beginning, we want to focus on Karnataka. Karnataka, the capital of Karnataka is called the Silicon Valley of India. Its inhabitants are very well connected to smart devices. And Karnataka has 6.4 million small farmers. And the potential to grow is huge. India alone has 100 million small farms, and globally this number is 500 million. What distinguishes us from our competitors? Our unique value is the decentralized governance and production, as well as that we empower local markets. Our revenue stream is simple. We have a transaction fee of 1%. 1%, that's 10 to 50 times less of what currently the middlemen are taking. In the first year, of course, we have to invest in the system, but maybe in 5 years, the system grows exponentially, and so does our revenue. The remaining question is, how do we gain access to this huge market? We'll focus on already existing market farmer corporations. We'll focus on their pain points. We'll improve the system such that it's optimized for a good access. We'll teach them so then they can later teach their communities. And when we have a big market power, we'll get together with big buyers who also have a strong incentive to cut the transaction costs down. This is what our experts think of the solution. What do you think? Are you ready? Are you ready to change, to revolutionize the food system with us?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
I have a question on the infrastructure in India for a decentralized system functions.
Yeah, so the question is about the infrastructure in India for this solution. So Arijit answer the question.
So right now we are focusing on the state of Karnataka, which the reason for focusing on Karnataka was it has there are government agencies over there right now which do almost the similar tasks, but they are not decentralized. So there still is a hefty middleman cut which happens over there. But the market over there is quite open as compared to the other states. And so also the state of Karnataka is digitally advanced over there. So we would not require a lot of infrastructure costs in the beginning. But we are going to teach them, which was in our slide. The data will be taught to them. This platform will be taught to them. So yeah, this is what our infrastructure requires.
Just elaborate a little bit on the infrastructure. I was wondering, we all have iPhones, right? When I go to farm in CH, I just order my whatever tomatoes and I'm fine. How does it work then for the people out there? I don't expect they have that much in terms of infrastructure like cell phones.
Yeah, thanks a lot for asking this question. So we actually, Yeah, I forgot to repeat the question, that's right. So the question is about the access to the connectivity for the local people there. And thanks again for asking. We actually have a prototype, which is more about the flowchart because the value is in the network itself. So how we do is we go to the farmer and explain really him the solution. The goal is to go to the local communities and to teach them. So we teach him how to use it. And what we know is that they are already organized. You know, they already meet in some places where maybe some of them have one computer. That's enough because what we create is a node where the local farmers meet and can teach each others. And then this node, they can register on it, add some information, whatever, we can go back to that if you want. But what is important is when they sell on this node, they connect to the other participants, so that also answers for the infrastructure, and can exchange through this network. So the idea is ready to integrate with local communities and the fact they already have at least one of them the access to the connectivity.
How do you do quality assurance there's no centralized gatekeepers anymore?
Yeah, I think I will answer in two parts, and first part Arijit will, because actually in the countries that we are targeting at first, this does not happen. It's only visual checking. So actually, I already answered. There's not much to add to that.
So right now, how the quality check happens is they have future contracts with the farms, and the farmers already have quite some knowledge about what kind of crop will that, how good the quality of the crop will be. But the problem is, because of this middlemen, and because of the illiteracy of the farmers, they are at times not aware of the proper quality of their crop. And if they are told if the quality is really bad or someone is not going to pay a high amount for it, they just leave it on the field because it's too cheap for them to just leave it over there rather than sending it to some other place. So we are not going to give them any infrastructure right now for the quality checks, as they already do it visually. But the fact that we are reducing the middlemen and cutting out them from the supply chain is going to be quite beneficial, because the farmers would have the knowledge about their crop, and they would know what the value exists.
Thank you, Rajit. Maybe one more question. We have less than 1 minute left. Yes.
How are you going to handle the potential for corruption in the process?
Yeah, so the question is about the corruption in the process, which is a very good question about this country that we are targeting. And this is actually happening through this decentralized network. The government doesn't have some really thing to play in there. It's really an exchange between the participants, and they all own the data. So that's what we can see next, that there's an agreement and everybody's in the chain receive the agreement. And through this decentralized network, nobody can really own the data. So that's also why we choose to base that on blockchain.
Just to add a bit on that, it's always the corruption comes into place in this kind of developing countries whenever you involve government as a third party or government as a stakeholder in any kind of investment. The reason that we focused on decentralized blockchain network is because this network would be owned by everyone in the local community. So so I do not see a lot of corruption going on over here, which right now the Indian communities and the agricultural corporations in India, which are existing, they still have a hefty cut because the government is involved in it.
All right, that's a wrap. Thank you, Tim Duperspitze. Go right there. Great job. Take that with you. One year ago, a student called Lolade Sionbola, originally from Nigeria, went on to Yale to finish her studies. There, one evening, she had to finish a paper and suddenly fell asleep at her desk. The next morning, another student from a white ethnicity walked in there and got scared at her looks. She then called the police, which, for no reason, detained Lolade. Now, turns out that when this white student called the police, she said those words: "She is not supposed to be here." Let that sink in, ladies and gentlemen. She is not supposed to be here. We're talking about Ivy League, supposed to be the highest education on earth. And still, people don't know about diversity, which is why we asked Team Alphubel, our last pitching team, to improve intercultural dialogue and to foster the tolerance of diversity in our universities. This challenge was taken on by Julia Dier, who likes to dab, Nicolas Buchwalde, wow, great moves, Victor, the strongman, Ashna, the styler, and finally Elian, which, well, confused the seasons, I guess. All right, help me welcome Ashna and Julia from Team Alphubel.
So, it's my first day at university. I walk into this giant lecture hall and I see hundreds of students in front of me. Very quickly, I realize that most of them are men. Instinctively, I'm drawn to the small group of women, but I feel very strange. I feel excluded and isolated from the majority, but I'm also happy that there are others like me. Over time, I realized that even the men are segregating themselves into smaller groups. There's a Swiss group, an Italian group, and so on. But haven't we all experienced this? We try to surround ourselves with the people that we're comfortable with. We surround ourselves with the people with whom we can share some kind of culture or background. But what this means is that we're not tapping into the diversity that exists around us. We're not tapping into the benefits that this diversity can bring, such as reduced social tensions and increased performance and employability. So we spoke to the rector at ETH Zurich about our idea. And she said, ETH needs to foster this intercultural dialogue and to make the most of the opportunities that we already have. So how do we foster intercultural dialogue in an academic context? Our solution is to focus on group projects. However, group projects as they exist today are a little complicated for the TAs as well as the students. For the TAs, it takes a lot of time and effort to improve the overall diversity of groups. If they don't bother with it, the groups are unfair and unbalanced, and this results in academic underperformance. On the part of the students, the group formation experience is so difficult, especially as a minority or as a new student. And if you end up in a bad group, you can't improve your social skills and you can't impact your network growth.
Our solution, therefore, is a group formation software. It forms groups based on teamwork research findings. It provides a list of criteria, personalized weights, as well as target objectives. With the help of feedback, we're optimizing our algorithm through AI. But how does it work? So the professor enters the project-specific parameters, and then the students are providing their data. In the next step, the professor reviews and validates the proposed groups. In the beginning of each project, every student receives a personal development guide, and along the journey, the team has surveys and as well cultural nudges in the form of challenges. In the end, the whole teams go through a peer review process in order to improve their soft skills. We're focusing first on Switzerland. 2.5 billion Swiss francs are annually only spent on teaching infrastructure. From this amount, 500 million is solely spent on IT. Our target is to obtain a 10% market share. This means 50 million francs a year. Not only ETH is excited about our idea, we also spoke to diversity managers from all across Europe. They're aware of the diversity at their campus. They have a need of innovative teaching techniques, and also they want the students to benefit from this diversity. On the student side, we conducted a survey with nearly 200 students. The majority prefers automated tool assignment, wants to improve their soft skills during group projects, and also is willing to share their data with us. Our business model is a free tiers SaaS yearly subscription. So the subscription revenue is the main source of our income. We are planning to build partnerships with psychologists for the test and the feedback systems. We brand ourselves through innovation and excellence. The competition, diversity sets itself apart because we are offering automation and flexibility at the same time.
So right now we're asking for a 500,000 seed investment to build our MVP. We envision that 10 years from now we'll have a 10% share of the market by targeting influential universities. Join us and let's tap into the diversity potential today.
So I have a question, you know, if we talk all about MVPs, beta version and all this, 500,000 Swiss franc for an MVP. Wow! This sounds like almost the market version, 500,000.
Okay, so the question is how we came up with the 500K for the seed investment for the MVP build.
So the thing is, technology is pretty hard because there are a lot of things going on because we need psychology metrics. So how really do we measure psychodiversity? And we need really to take time to have a system that is not biased in a way. So really have the best metrics to make something that is really diverse in a way. And for that, we need at least 1 year of just human resources, but we also need technological infrastructure. So that's why we're planning on 1 year. And we think that 2-3 engineers for 1 year is already 500K.
Switzerland, yes.
Exactly.
So Microsoft built a conversational AI a few years ago, and I think within a few hours it turned racist. So how are you going to ensure that the AI you're using to create these groups is not going to have its own bias?
So that's a very valid question. The question is whether how we make sure that our AI is not getting biased or actually racist. So there are a few components. First, actually our baseline algorithm will actually be based on psychological findings we have on teamwork. And then over time, it's the user feedback that makes the system learn for each university specifically what is important for this university. And what we are going to do is that this system will only learn which combinations don't work well.
Can you go back to the financial model where you talk about who's actually going to be paying for the system? Are the students paying or is the university paying for this?
Yeah, we have 3 tiers. So we have the professor, department, and university. This is really for a go-to-market strategy, where we want innovative teachers to pay it for first, because they want the innovation, academic excellence. And then from that, we're going to build to department and university. But the end target user is university in a way.
To add something to this, we also thought, like, why would they pay? So we really think that through the automatization, they will save time. So we did assumption how much time they can save, and with this also teaching salaries. So that would be a motivation for the universities to use this tool actually.
Exactly, it's all about the branding also. You want to brand a diverse university to also be in contact with the big companies, all the ecosystem that is already here.
Do you plan on creating these psychometric tests from scratch? Because there's a lot out there. There are a lot of systems out there.
So as you just said, so the question was if we're planning to build the psychological tests from scratch. The straight answer is no. There is already a lot of research out there. There are also already a lot of systems that know, okay, which teams are working quite well together and how can I measure that, and also which are the right questions to ask. So we have looked into a little bit of research, and there are different tests, different psychological tests, and we will build on them and incorporate them.
If we don't have any questions, please applaud Team Alpubel. Great job. And I hope Yale University was just watching this, right? Because they'll be buying that product for sure. So we reached the end of our last pitch. Now you have the opportunity to vote yourself. So please scan or enter the link and just go vote. After this, we'll have about 15 to 20 minutes. So you can go out there, just this door, go out there, have a smoke, catch your breath, take off your mask. You'll have some water there. Booze will have to wait. Sorry for that. But then let's gather here in 15 to 20 minutes to have a look at some testimonials. Thank you very much. Cool. So I hope you enjoyed chatting, taking off your masks, exchanging on who won. Now I want to use the time before we announce the final winner to show you some impressions that we filmed during InCube. Please enjoy. Do I press?
So I'm Julia. I'm a PhD student at ETH.
I'm Arijit. I'm doing my master's in energy science and tech at ETH, and I'm in my second year. And I'm here in this Alpine 2020 edition of InCube, which is really great.
Hi, I'm Christina. I'm lucky participant of InCube 2020.
My name is Rayan.
Hi, I'm Nicholas.
Hi, my name is Eliane.
I signed up for the InCube challenge because I'm really interested in entrepreneurship and problem solving. Furthermore, I just really wanted to put my knowledge into practice and meet new people who have similar interests and ambitions.
I signed up for InCube because I always wanted to do a hackathon, but it's only for developers, so I find a new way to do it. Like I've seen InCube, it's all about innovation and employee disability, so I really liked it.
Last year, I was witnessing the final pitch of the teams. And just being in the audience, I couldn't stop thinking that I want to be the lucky one. I want to actually be working on this together with other members.
I signed up for InCube 2020 because I got to know that this was a really cool design thinking and entrepreneurship event where you get to hone your skills, which you normally do not do in regular classrooms. So this is something of a great experience. And it's being held in the Mountain Huts this year. So it was a really great experience for me till now, and I hope to make the best out of it.
The main reason I signed up for InCube was because I'm very new to Europe. I was living in Asia before, and I'm very curious of the way entrepreneurship is approached in this part of the world. And in the past few days, I already realized that it's quite different, especially the way people find and tackle problems. So I'm looking forward to see how we approach the solutions too.
I signed up for the InCube challenge because I'm a curious mind, and I was looking for a challenge to combine my background in tech with my interest in entrepreneurship.
And I think it was a really amazing decision because during even just the past few days, I learned a lot, not just from the workshops, but simply with conversations and getting to know amazing, inspiring people.
In the first few days of the InCube challenge, I learned a lot about design thinking through the workshops. And furthermore, I think I learned most from the other participants. We all share our knowledge and also our experience, and I think that's one of the most inspiring parts.
During the last couple of days, what I really learned is to express my ideas, to discuss and synthesize with other people from really diverse backgrounds. For example, there's really creative people that from more like artistic backgrounds and then more like engineering. So it's really a rich experience to see how other people think and how you can really get the ideas together and have great outcome.
I expect from InCube a very intense 4-day learning journey where we can grow as a team while being in one of the most beautiful locations in Switzerland.
Entrepreneurship as a word means a lot to me. So it means a great range of opportunities with really less resources, and that's when you know what you need to put in and you take risks. You don't care about what you have in hand, you don't care about the resources, but you just try to make the most out of what you have.
Yeah. So my definition of entrepreneurship is really the freedom to create what you feel like is needed in the world and to really see with other people, see what's really missing, and having this freedom to make everything that you like.
I recommend this InCube program for any motivated university student that wants to live a unique experience, learning about design thinking and meeting other students from all over the world.
The benefits of someone joining this event are that you get to explore your skills, you get to explore your what you think about, and you get a hands-on experience when you go for the workshop and the design thinking workshops at the InCube, so that you know what you'll be basically working on during the main event. And also you get to work on your pitching skills, which I feel are really necessary.
I feel like to anyone who is thinking about participating in InCube, if it sparks your interest, you should definitely sign up and see how it goes. I don't think there is anyone who actually regrets signing up.
So I would recommend InCube to anyone who wants to take a step back from their normal thinking patterns and see how an experience as unique as InCube can change the way they think in their day-to-day life later on.
Yes, I would definitely recommend this program to many other students. I think it's completely independent of age or also studies. So, because I think everybody who's interested in entrepreneurship, problem solving, and who also wants to think outside the box, but inside the cube, is definitely right here. Wow, what an inspiring evening. Can you guys believe that it only took them 96 hours to come up with this? Crazy. Now, everyone's waiting for the winner, but before we move on to that, I would first like to thank our main sponsors who supported us greatly financially this year. And this is ÖPFL, ETH Zurich, as well as the Jacques and Gloria Gosweiler Foundation. And also a big special thank you goes to the Association de Communes de Crans-Montana, who since the very beginning of InCube in 2017 support us not only financially, but also with amazing infrastructure in their network. So a big round of applause for making this possible. We have also worked with a lot of knowledge and network partners who not only advised our QBs, but also offered their vast networks to promote our events and the applications. This would be Ethics, ETH Juniors Startup Date, the Entrepreneur Club of ÖPFL, Startup Ticker, Too Good To Go, and the Entrepreneur Club of Winterthur. Additionally, we've also worked with in-kind sponsors who not only helped us get safely and reliably to Crans-Montana, but also move around, deliver food to the hungry QBs and any other necessities. And that would be Hertz, Micro, and Ego Movement, but also Planted, who's making sure that none of you stay hungry tonight during the apero, as well as Now, who kept all the participants energized throughout the entire journey. Big round of applause. Before we move on, I also want to thank every single helper that came up to Crans-Montana and helped with various activities, ranging from shooting videos with drones to delivering food to the hungry QBs, to setting up the cubes, and then finally cleaning up today. Without you guys, it wouldn't be possible. Last but not least, I would also like to thank the judges who made the time in their busy schedules to come here tonight on a Friday night, offer their expertise, and choose the rightful winner. Big round of applause. Thank you very much.
So now I also would like to thank the general EC sponsors. Namely, we're talking about Huawei, UBS, and Startup Campus being the biggest contributors on the financial side with very generous help. Then we have our legal partner, Valderwies, always providing us with legal advice when needed, and our technical partner, Zülke, always giving us good and valuable advice when we ask for it. Then, last but not least, I'd also like to thank our partners, namely Westhive, the IE Lab, Digital Switzerland and Startup Invest, the ETH Student Project House, Start Global, and the VSETH. So now we're gonna start with some prizes. I hope you're all excited and a little bit nervous. But first we're gonna give you something to all of you. Actually, we have 2 presents today for you. First of all, we have a little box with a small Lego glass cube. I know you loved playing with the Lego or building with Lego during your challenges. So we're gonna give you that after the event. And also, we would also like to invite you to the Startup Days in Bern on the 5th and 6th October. This prize was sponsored by Digital Switzerland and Startup Invest. Thank you, JP, for those prizes. All right.
All right.
Please.
So, one more prize. As you all know, before the break, you also voted as an audience. And we want to announce the winner of the audience prize, who might or might not be the same as the final winner. We'll see. Are you guys ready? The audience voted for Team Cat Store. Woo! A round of applause. Thank you, everyone who voted. As a gift from the Entrepreneur Club, you will all receive a 100-franc voucher for Patagonia. A round of applause. And now, the moment we've all been waiting for so eagerly. Before I announce the main winner, I received a message from the judges as well. I was meant to mention that it's been a very difficult decision for the judges to choose. I also saw that in the audience vote. It was also very, very divided. The judges also kindly offered to give a feedback session to each and every single team at the end of the event. But without any further ado, we're going to announce the winner, and I believe Greg has the answer. So, are you ready? Can we get a... Oh, Team Matterhorn! Woo! Get on stage!
They say, oh my God, I see the way you shine. Take my hand, my deed, and place them both in line. You know they stopped me dead while I was passing by.
Here you are, your prize.
Now I beg to see you dance just one more time. Ooh, I see you, baby, die. You know my I like your style. Ooh, you make me wanna try. Now I beg to see you dance just one more time. Say, dance for me, dance for me, dance for me. Oh.
Congratulations. Congratulations to all the QBs who've done an amazing job, who've been working extremely hard on their ideas. I hope that all of you, or at least some of you, continue working on the great ideas, because I truly believe they have a lot of potential. So again, a big round of applause to everyone. You can come down now, and I'm going to leave you guys with Linus for the final words. Thank you, everyone, for showing up tonight.
All right. So I want to thank some very special people in here, without whom this event wouldn't have happened. I want to thank the whole InCube committee, and especially Justina, our VP of InCube, for their amazing commitment over the last few months. So may I please ask you, come on the stage, the whole InCube team, everyone.
Nice, your time.
So, a few months ago, when we started our journey, we didn't know what was ahead of us. We didn't know where we would be today, especially after such a turbulent semester with all those fallbacks in plans and pivoting your plans in the last minute. And seeing the great work that you did and hustling every day until late. I really want to thank you from all heart for all your work that you did. And without you, this event couldn't have happened. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You can stay here. So, now we're soon reaching the end of this beautiful event. Before I'm going to release you into the apero, I quickly want to remind you about our strict mask policy. Please keep the mask over the nose and not under it. And also try to keep your distance if you're having your mask off. Yes, that's pretty much it. I also want to show you quickly this video that we made over the last few days. Some impressions about what happened, and please enjoy it. Grab a few drinks, and thank you very much for coming. I'm hoping I will see you at the future event of the EC.
I